Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If I can have your attention, I have an announcement to make. I'm Gene Culpepper. I directed tonight's play. The circumstances surrounding tonight's play are a little unusual. You see, I was very flattered when Mr. St. John wrote Murders in the Air. As you probably know, in the program, Heir is spelled H-E-I-R. Murders in the Air. Get it? Yes, well, as I was saying, I was very flattered when Mr. St. John contacted me and asked me to direct his play's premiere production. Actually, it was a work in progress, and he made changes and rewrites throughout the rehearsal period. While it was very exciting to be part of creating a brand new work, to tell the truth, it put quite a strain on me, the playwright, and the cast.
Right.
Hush! Actors should be unseen and unheard until curtains open. Sorry about that. The fact is, the cast and I are feeling a little nervous about tonight's performance, because, well, it's not quite finished. Oh, don't worry, we're going to go on. The show must go on, as someone once said. I don't really know who said it, but looked through my hands around his neck. Anyway, as I was saying, the show isn't quite finished. You see, it's a murder mystery, and most characters have great motives to kill. Well, you'll see too. The thing is, Mr. St. John couldn't make up his mind which character he wanted to be killed. In fact, he wrote several different endings in which various suspects were revealed to be the murderer. We performed them all for him, and he still couldn't decide which character he wanted to be the killer. As it got closer and closer to opening night, the tension in the air, that's AIR, grew so thick you could cut it with a knife. It got so bad, in fact, that Mr. St. John had what I feel sure will prove to be a temporary breakdown. The reason he's not here with us tonight is because he is presently under heavy sedation in a very nice place surrounded by soft walls with lots of patio. Some people have all the luck. The casting crew and I are here, though. We are determined to provide an entertaining show for you, even if it kills us. That's just a figure of speech, of course. This brings me to my main point of being up here, to announce that you're going to have to help us. If you look in your programs, you'll see we inserted a QR code along with a URL. As you watch the first act, you'll discover which characters have a motive to kill someone. A person who will indeed be dead by the time that ends. During intermission, we need you to use the QR code, the URL, or the voting station set in Storm Alley to vote for the person you think is most likely to kill someone. Once your votes are in, we'll tell them quickly, and for the second act, we'll perform the scene Mr. St. John wrote that has the character the majority of you voted for as the killer. At least, we hope that's what will happen. It got very confusing during rehearsals.
It's a wonder we didn't kill the playwright.
Hush! Anyways, we might as well get started. I saved myself a seat up there in the front, where I can follow the script and help out if things get a little shaky. Which they won't, but just in case. Are you ready, cast?
As ready as we're gonna be.
Then, let's do it. Places. Lights.
Nancy, please, do you know Mr. Starkweather is resting just in his room just through that doorway? You mustn't startle him.
I'm sorry, Miss Withers, but you startled me.
My apologies, but I do dare say, a slight scare would do you no harm. But to remain in his 90s and Mr. Starkweather's medical condition could prove fatal. Remember that, Pearl.
Yes, ma'am. I guess this terrible storm made me a little edgy.
Yes, it is a September's evening. I presume all the guests have been sheltered their rooms?
They have. Well, all of us checked with his grandson, Mr. Simon III. It's a long drive from his college and with the storm, oh, you know.
I hope we can start without him. It is already past Mr. Starkweather's bedtime, and he must have his sleep.
I assure you, Miss Withers, the room is spotless and clean.
I certainly hope so. Mr. Starkweather's astronomical condition makes the merest mote of dust potentially lethal.
I served as Mr. Starkweather's housekeeper for many years before you came here, Miss Withers. I don't need you to tell me how to do my job. You brought the coffee.
It's right here on the table.
Good. Now go back to the kitchen and help Minerva with the refreshments.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Starkweather wishes to have everyone present in the drawing room at 8 o'clock sharp. I'll ask Vincent Hurst to fetch the rest from the rooms.
Mr. Starkweather will be ready. I'm coming, Mr. Starkweather. I'm coming, Mr. Starkweather.
I have got all the cars parked in the garage like you're going to.
As I told you, why waste my breath? You're dripping water all over the floor. Why did you enter through the front door, Rufus? I've told you a million times, servants never enter through the front door.
I reckon I forgot, Mr. Benson. Glad it's raining out there.
I'm aware of that. Now it's as if it's raining in here as well, thanks to you.
You're welcome.
Go back out the way you came and maneuver yourself around to the back door. Do you think you can manage that?
I don't know, but I suppose we can find out.
When the final guest, young Mr. Simon, arrives, he'll summon you so you can work his car for him.
Yes, while I wait, I'll sit by the fire and see if I can play so.
Don't be impertinent.
How can it be? I don't know what I mean.
Just do as you're told. Go back into the kitchen and wait until I call for you. The back door. That man is an idiot.
I heard that.
Where should I put these, Minerva?
On the coffee table. Careful with it.
Yes, ma'am. I think everything's all ready.
You think wrong. Place the cups on the saucers, so all we'll have to do is pour the coffee.
Oh, okay, Minerva.
The others are coming down. Miss Van Zandt has informed me she wishes all the staff be present.
She wants the servants here?
Precisely. Even Rufus. Had I been informed of that fact sooner, I would have ordered him to take a bath.
You ask me, knows what wouldn't know.
Be that as it may, I shall get him and Mrs. Withers.
Why would Mr. Starkweather want the servants to be here?
I'll pull out my crystal ball and let you know. You remember what I told you when you came to look here?
Yes, Minerva. Do as you're told and don't ask questions.
Exactly. Stick with that.
I will, Minerva. Oh dear, I never know what to wear on special occasions. I suppose it's a special occasion, isn't it, Jordan?
I suppose so. We consider that most of the time treats us like lepers.
Even Lord Simon treats us like jungle cat?
Not lepers, mother. Lepers. Thinking about it. And don't worry. You look fine.
Oh, thank you, Jordan.
Tell you one thing. If we should ever inherit this mausoleum, the first thing we'll do is call up the Abbott family and let them know it's on the market.
Counting chickens, are we?
Minerva, we did see you there. And you're trapped with an helper.
Nancy's a nice girl. And that means for her to stay that way.
I'm sure. I don't know what you mean.
I doubt that.
I don't understand.
I believe that. Miss Fiona, why don't you have a seat and I'll bring you a cup of coffee?
Coffee? That sounds nice. It's a little damp in here.
That's because it's a lot damp up there. How do you take it?
Mother likes her black. I like mine a little sweet. I'll flavor it myself.
Whatever.
These dessert hors d'oeuvres are delicious, Minerva.
How'd you like them?
You know, you're looking very pretty tonight, Nancy.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, that makes me feel as old as great Uncle Simon himself. Please, call me Jordan.
She will call you Mr. Stockmiller, the way a proper maid should. If anyone will be calling you by another name, it will be me, and you don't want to know which one I'm thinking.
Oh, Minerva, you never change.
Neither do you, more's the pity. Now take a seat next to your mother.
Aye, aye, Captain.
I swear, Captain, I don't know how you do it. I'm not here for police. There's more than 5 things in life, like the restaurants, the movies, the shopping centers. My darling, if I was you, I'd get so depressed, I'd sit down and wait.
It's really not that bad, Paula. I stay here during the week and go to my apartment in town most weekends.
Oh, I'm so relieved to hear that.
I worked for a large corporation before Mr. Starkweather hired me to be his personal secretary. And believe me, this position is much nicer.
Look what we have here. 2 rays of sunshine to spell the blue. Ladies, you look lovely.
Oh, that's so great, Cousin Jordan. You're a rogue and a charmer.
I do my best. Won't you join us?
Why don't you have a seat over here? You'll be safer. We'll bring you some coffee.
Thank you, Minerva. And take mine black.
Load mine down with lots of cream and sugar. Sugar. I must admit, I haven't known this sweet tooth.
Maybe that's what causes that corn syrup accent.
Cousin Tiana, how you doing this evening?
What? Oh, I'm very well. Thank you, Paula.
Oh, well, that's just peachy. I swear, why we don't get to see all one another? Seems like the only time we get is for somebody's funeral.
Well, aren't all funerals for somebody?
Oh, shame on you, Cousin Jordan. Don't be morbid. I am glad this weekend is exception of the rule, though. For once, nobody's dead.
So far anyways.
That's a good news, really.
What did you mean by that remark, Ruben?
Oh, nothing. It's just that when he called to tell us that Great Uncle Simon had requested Mother and I to start with the mansion, I just perceived that he had passed on. You wish.
I started to pack a new black dress.
It was a natural assumption. I mean, he is up in the years and in that house. I was relieved to find out that the old boy was still kicking with us. Of course.
Oh,
Well, where's Cousin Simon? Shouldn't he be here too?
Well, when I contacted him last week, he said he could make it. Apparently, he's going to be late. He's tried to call here tonight. He couldn't get through. The phone lines are down.
That's just awful. But if we're going to talk about a widow, he should be here. After all, he's Great Uncle Simon's little grandchild.
Yeah, probably get everything.
Excuse me. You're doing great, guys. You really are. Folks, I suggested to Mr. St. John that these family relationships might be a bit confusing. He agreed and was going to write a scene that explained everything. He was working on it when he snapped like a rubber band. So I'll just tell you. I think it might be in your programs too. Simon Starkweather, the old billionaire whom you'll meet shortly, married late in life and produced one son, Simon Jr. Simon Jr. in turn married and produced one heir, Simon III, the college student who's late for tonight's gathering. The original Mrs. Starkweather, Simon II, and his wife are now deceased. Old Simon's eldest brother, Paul, had a daughter, Bella, who married Lucy Thompson, a Lantern businessman, and they produced Paul the Heir. Paul, his wife, Bella, and Lucy are now deceased. Old Simon's younger brother, John, married and produced Ezra, who married Naomi here. And they had Jordan. This is Jordan. But you already knew that. Anyway, John, his wife, and Ezra are now deceased. I realize that's a lot of dead people, but if they had been included in the play too, the stage would look like a marching band going into the living room. Believe me, it was hard enough moving everyone about the stage as it was. At any rate, old Simon is Fiona's uncle by marriage, and is Jordan and Paula's great uncle. That makes Jordan, Paula, and young Simon cousins. It's like our third cousins, I guess. I don't really understand how that works. Anyways, Hope this clears things up for you. Sorry for the interruption. Carry on.
We don't have the foggiest notion where we are.
I don't even know where everyone is.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yes. We're soon with Lucas's and Emma's entrance. First,
What?
give them their entrance key.
What is it?
They'll probably get everything.
Who will?
Your cousin Simon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're probably with everything.
I'm very pleased with the investigation. I'll be glad to recommend you to my other clients.
Just doing my job, Miss Van Zandt.
Good evening, everyone.
I know we haven't met yet, but I've got a pretty good idea of who you all are. Mrs. Starkweather and her son George, I presume.
That's right, Mr.
Davis. Call me Mom.
So from what Ms. Van Zandt said, I assume that you must be some sort of investigator.
You got it, pal. The Bradley campus.
I see.
Who is this nice young man here?
Thank your mother.
A detective? Do you know Jessica Fletcher?
No, man. She's way out of my league. I do know who you two ladies must be, though.
Well, if you're a proud investigator, I'd be surprised if you didn't.
That accent settles it. You're Paula Thompson.
You are 100% correct. I cannot deny I'm from the deep side.
She came from Egypt herself. She lived in Central America.
So that leaves you to be Captain Connor. It's good to finally meet you in person.
Me too, Mike. Mike and I have corresponded for some time by mail and fax on Mr. Starker's behalf.
Is this seat taken? No? I'll park it here.
And I expect you to remain unobtrusive.
I sure will. I'll finish a fun dictionary and look it up.
Just sit over there by the fire and keep quiet.
That side? That too. The back side's still kind of silent.
Keep an eye on him. I shall do my best. If all is in readiness, Miss Van Zandt, I shall inform Mr. Starkweather and Mrs. Withers.
Yes, thank you, Vincent.
There's coffee if anybody else wants some.
I could use something, Nova.
How do you take it?
In a cup.
Black, please.
Miss Van Zandt, I know you understand with Simons with Clark presence to talk about a will of sorts.
That's correct. Frankly, I do not think this is a good idea. Mr. Starkweather's health is precariously less. I advise him to communicate with you all by mail. He insisted on bringing you to Starkweather Mansion. I do hope he doesn't live to regret that decision.
Mrs. Starkweather, to join us.
Can I move now? Here you are, Mr. Starkweather.
Go.
I'll be right here if you need me.
To think I was once surrounded by presidents and kings. Could my world have shrunk to this? Handful of relatives and a meager staff of hired help. Simon, where's my grandson?
Oh, we presume he's on his way, Mr. Starkweather.
Can't wait for him. Not enough time anymore.
Good evening, great Uncle Simon. You're looking well.
Are you blind, boy? Or just an habitual liar?
I was only making pleasantries, Uncle.
Save your breath, Jordan. You're nothing but a smooth talker. I ought to know. I was one myself at your age.
But I guess it runs in the family.
I guess so. Well, Fiona, you look the same.
I do? Why, thank you, Uncle Simon.
Wasn't necessarily meant to be a compliment.
Oh, great Uncle Simon! Oh,
At my age, with my money, I can afford to say exactly what I think and do. Now's my little Georgia peach.
well, little old me. I'm just painting, Uncle.
I made barf. Would you like some coffee, Mr. Starkweather?
He mustn't have any. The caffeine wouldn't keep him awake and would affect his blood pressure. Sometimes the medications cause him to run a little high.
I guess I won't be having any, Minerva. You heard my keeper.
Yes, sir.
I think everyone wants to live to a ripe old age. And for what? Be kept alive by medications and machines. Be kept from enjoying life's little pleasures like a cup of coffee.
You mustn't excite yourself, Mr. Starkweather.
See? Not even allowed to feel any strong emotion.
That's a bummer.
Ah, you put it very succinctly, Rufus. Life is a bummer. You know, I could research my vocabulary very extensively, never come those scriptures. Bummer.
Glad you like it.
According to my doctors, I won't have to remain a prisoner in this weak old body much longer. There's only one thing I hate to leave behind, my money.
You know what they say, Uncle. You can't take it with you.
That is what they say. So several years ago, I had Louis here draw my will. I suppose you're curious how I provided you my heirs.
Ah, for one minute. I'm just a bit curious.
A teensy bit, eh?
I was afraid something like this might happen. Here, Mr. Starkweather, breathe deeply. See what you've done?
Me? I didn't.
Should somebody call an ambulance?
It can't. The phones are dead. It's all right. He just needs to be pure oxygen for a few moments.
Tell them.
Very well. This is the will Mr. Starkweather referred to. As you'll know, he's been a phenomenally successful businessman for many years.
I'll say he's been on the cover of Forbes magazine at least a dozen times.
I never read it.
He had the distinction of becoming one of the world's first billionaires.
20 years ago, I begged to ask Uncle Simon for some business investments, but he was just too proud.
Yup, Dad has pride. Lots of pride and very little money.
If I may continue, Mr. Starkweather's fortune is now in the neighborhood of $50 billion.
If I'd have known that, I'd ask for a raise.
I won't go into the details of the will, but it essentially bequeaths $1 million to his household staff. That is, Mr. Bensonhurst, his butler, Mrs. Trent, his housekeeper, Minerva Walker, his cook, Nancy Pollard, his maid, Miss Withers, his nurse, and Rufus Jones, his handyman.
Get the raise.
The local Starkweather had no idea. The will goes on to state that the rest of the money is to be equally divided between his remaining family members. That is, Jordan and Fiona, who will share 1/3, his grandson, young Simon, and Paul Thompson.
Uncle Simon, I knew you got bad long-haired southern boy, but we must have agreed on one thing. Blood is thicker than water. Then maybe Withers can tell you this.
Melanie informed you from those contents. As tomorrow, this will becomes invalid.
What? What does invalid mean?
It means no good.
That is lovely, that is valid.
What Mr. Van Zandt means is that we're not going to get the money, you fool.
Guess I won't be buying that big screen TV I was thinking about after all.
Why did you decide to disinherit us, Uncle?
I found a better use for my money.
To elaborate?
Jean, wine.
Really?
I didn't cut you out entirely.
What?
I didn't cut you out entirely.
Oh, I didn't cut you out entirely. I gave each of you $50,000.
50,000? Out of 50 billion?
Lois advised me that at least give you a little something, so you're less likely to contest my new will.
You will. What do you mean, new will?
I found a better use for my money.
Cheers.
Mr. Starkweather has hired me to conduct an investigation on the quiet. For the past 6 months, I've flown to a dozen or more foreign countries, checking out some of the world's most brilliant scientists. Some well-known, others who prefer to keep their experiments hush-hush. I've succeeded in finding one in Belgium, let's call him Dr. Rex, who agreed to help Mr. Starkweather do what he desires, which is to clone himself.
What is this? You must be kidding!
What nonsense!
Oh my goodness.
It's immoral.
How could you do such a thing? I don't understand.
It's insane.
blood and skin samples you had me prepared? The ones you said were examined by specialists?
They were examined by specialists in DNA.
I thought you were trying to find a cure.
I was trying to find a cure, but not for my multiple ailments, but a cure for dying. And I found it.
Cloning?
Yes, precisely. Through modern science, I shall live forever.
It's not right.
No, I'll let the moralists and politicians debate that for years to come. But for now, as Dr. X, Mr. Davis named him, we'll be creating a new me.
When will it end? There's enough money for Simon Stockwell to rule the world?
Yes, through modern, I will be the first person in the world to become my own name.
How can you be part of this? How can you be a part of this travesty?
Mr. Stockwell, is your blood pressure all right?
Yes, Mr. Starkweather. If you'll excuse me, I need to take Mr. Starkweather's blood pressure.
Why don't you take it right here?
Mr. Starkweather's arms are too frail for me to get a reading from them. This is an oversized cup made to go around the patient's side. He can withstand blood pressure better there. If you'll excuse us, Mr. Starkweather has had enough excitement for one night. I shall put him to bed.
I'm going to ask one more time. How could you be a part of this travesty?
I guess our meeting is concluded, unless anyone has any questions.
I do. What was that about?
It's simple, Rufus. We were all gonna get a big fortune. Then Wheelson decided to clone himself.
What does clone mean?
It means to take a sample from somebody's cells and create a duplicate of the original.
They can do that? That's great. When the old Mr. Starkweather passes, I can get a job working for the new Mr. Starkweather.
The new Mr. Starkweather will have to be born and raised. It goes against the laws of nature. How?
It has all been arranged. Once Dr. X has created a new life, the cells will be implanted into a host mother who will carry the child to term.
Host mother? Who?
Me.
What?
Well, why not? I'm young and healthy. I'll make a great mother for little Simon.
How could you be a part of this travesty?
Finally! I'll be well compensated. Besides, have you ever known anyone else to give birth to a baby billionaire?
Uncle Simon's giving his money to a baby?
In a manner of speaking, yes. Mr. Starkweather's fortune will be put into a trust fund, which I'll administer to pay Dr. X and his surgeons. After that, ample funds will be provided to Kathy and little Simon's care. Once the child knows how to deal with my finance, the money will be overturned to him.
The baby will look, think, and act like Mr. Starkweather.
He could conceivably parlay those billions into trillions by the time he's an old man.
But when will it end? When there's a Simon Starkweather with enough money and power to rule the world?
We didn't discuss it, but you might as well be right.
I can't believe you would condone such madness!
Oh, I can see why she would. Miss Van Zandt and the Collins will take billionaires themselves on Mr. Stockwell's money. Which should go to us and his family. I shall not get rich too, since you're part of this crazy scheme.
Not me. I did the job I was paid to do. I'll take my very generous check and go home. Frankly, I don't care if the boss's little science experiment works out or not.
You should be ashamed. You should all be ashamed!
I believe you've made your feelings quite clear, ladies. If the rest of the staff will join me, I wish to speak with you in the kitchen.
Might be nice to just let her pat her cold feet around the house.
Oh, shut up, Rufus!
That gets a panic.
I expect the rest of you will ring if you require anything else.
Kathy and I will charge you over. You might as well start typing up the new will. I'll direct you how to put everything in proper legal terms.
Sure, Lois. The sooner it's finished and signed, the better.
Now hold up! No, I'm not going to be quiet. How come nobody asked me if I wanted to carry that baby? I could do it
Mr. Starkweather's blood from Paula, it wouldn't be proper.
It would be kind of tacky, wouldn't it?
Proper? You're about to conduct an experiment that makes Frankenstein monster look like an amateur, and you're worried about being proper?
Cool it, kid. Before you pop the blood vessel. Mr. Starkweather has made up his mind, and I get the feeling that whatever the old man wants, he gets.
Simply put, Mr. Davis, Kathy.
I'll go upstairs and pack my things. Once I witness the signing of this new will, I have no reason to stick around. Night.
We were wrong!
We were?
Yes, Mother. Great Uncle Simon dangled a fortune right from our noses and snatched it away.
That was mean.
Mean? The man is a monster. Didn't you see his evil glint in his eye? He enjoyed pulling the rug right out under our feet.
At least he's leaving us 50,000.
To him, that's no more than tossing a dime to a beggar. And he's just doing it to keep us from breaking his new will. You heard him. I wish he was dead. I wish the old goat would drop dead tonight.
You would serve him right. If Uncle Simon did die tonight, we would get our own money, wouldn't we, Phineas? Would anybody care for Neo Bridge?
Ready for your thoughts? That's all I can afford for now.
Mr. Starkweather.
It's Jordan, remember? At least with Minerva, dragging ladies around.
I thought everyone was bed.
I was going to turn in. Then I got an urge for a midnight snack.
I'll fix you something.
Never mind that. What are you doing, love?
Well, Mrs. Trent sent me information about your screen. Probably clothes, with sparks, come onto the bed.
And burn several dimensions to the ground? Maybe that wouldn't be such a bad idea.
You mustn't suggest such a thing. Terrible idea, Jordan.
You read my mind.
Jordan,
You got to call me my first name.
you mustn't suggest such a thing. It's wicked.
Why not? Everyone knows I'm the black sheep in the family. If it happened tonight, you have millions, and I'll have billions. Think of the good times we have together.
Don't.
It's a tempting thought. Admit it.
It's not. A horrible idea.
Which part? Getting the money, or you and me together?
The part about the money.
And what about us?
Nancy, I thought you were going to help me with the dishes.
Well, I was checking for Jordan, huh?
I see. And what are you doing in here?
I was hungry, so I came down for a midnight snack, and I saw Nancy, and I wanted a little chat.
That appetite of yours is going to get you in trouble one of these days.
Minerva, what are you doing with this big knife?
Mincing onions.
At midnight?
I can't stand it if anybody see me cry. I thought I heard someone here who came in to check. If you're hungry, come with me. I'll find you something.
Yes, Minerva. Anything you say, Minerva.
Finish checking, come give me a hand.
Yes, ma'am.
Come on.
Rufus, I thought I heard somebody come in.
It's just me.
So I see. Good grief, man. What are you doing with that axe?
You see, it's like this. I'm going to be chopping wood for the fire this Saturday before it started raining. And I forgot to put the axe back
into the living room?
Ah.
Well, it's soaking wet. Go to get Mrs. Withers and have her dry off the ice. The back door. If that man had a brain, he'd be dangerous.
I've heard that.
Ready for your thoughts?
Jordan, I just came down for a breath of fresh air. What are you doing up your sleeves?
Munchies. Want a cookie?
No thanks.
So, did you and Miss Vincent finish the new will?
Yes, it's all ready except for Mr. Starkweather's signature. You calm down. I don't blame you if you hated me.
Why should I hate you? If I was the same shoes as you, I would do the same exact thing.
Sure you would, Jordan.
Minerva was right. Being the mother of Blue Baby Simon would be the next best thing to owning the buildings yourself. Except, you're missing something.
What?
A little technically a dad! Someone to mold him and guide him to the perfect replica of Great Uncle Simon himself. A sleazy, money-hungry sleazeball.
You think so?
I know so. And who would be a better father figure than I? You know, you're a very attractive woman, Cassie. We can mix business with pleasure.
Take your crummy hands off me!
You were getting cookie crumbs all over my blouse.
What?
And by the way, forget it. If I decide little Simon needs a father, after he's born, I'll pick a suitable husband then. I don't know who he'll be, but it won't be a sleazy, money-hungry slime ball like you, Jordan.
You know, I can kill you, you witch!
I wouldn't try it if I were you. Now I'm a detective in the house.
Are you finished in here yet?
Almost. I need to make everything all right.
Well, hurry up, girl. Minerva wants you in the kitchen.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, cold in here. Someone left the French doors open. I'll close them. Miss Thompson!
Oh, Miss Trent!
Give me a flat! I suppose I should be grateful you didn't shoot me. What on earth are you doing in the middle of the night with a gun in your hand?
I couldn't sleep, so I thought I'd clean it. My precious girl was looking a little dingy. Just gonna go look in the kitchen for some oil.
I doubt you'll find what you need unless you want to rub that thing with Crisco.
Oh,
Do you often carry that thing around with you?
this? I take it everywhere I go. Dad taught me how to be a crack shot at the age of 10. No girl can't be too careful.
Well, I don't think you have anything to worry about at Starkweather Mansion. It's miles from the nearest town. No one ever comes out this way.
Y'all never had a burglary? Or problem?
No?
Well, you know, the Grandpa Simon's so sick and all. What if someone had to break in and steal something, you know? He said he's gonna be on the ground floor, and he could break through those French doors, tiptoe on in, and do who knows what.
Like, shoot him?
As terrible as the thought is, what happened?
Well, I don't think you have anything to worry about.
Well, I suppose I could just sit Nurse Withers on.
You know, it's scared of ladies and intruders.
Oh, yeah. She is a pretty dangerous woman. Hold on, bang with her. Where's she sleep?
In the parlor, next to the library.
Okay. Okay. Let me get this right. When I was a little baby, Mama brought me here books. That room right there is Paul. You want to be on it, the library? Am I correct?
That's correct. When Mr. Starkweather became too ill to go up and down the stairs, the library was converted into Heir's room and Withers took the parlor. Why do you ask?
Oh, just stories.
Excuse me.
Really?
I thought that little section of dialogue was kind of odd, and suggested to Mr. St. John that he cut it. But he felt he needed to get an idea of the layout of the house. He said, "What do you want me to do? Wrote a blueprint of Starkweather Mansion the program?" Which I thought was kind of rude. But he insisted that I leave the dialogue, so I did. But it's a bad piece of writing, and I want you to know I tried to correct it. Sorry for the interruption.
I want you to know that if you do that again, you're gonna have to take that script up here and play Mrs. Trent yourself.
Sorry.
That's great. I wish I had her.
Where are we, ma'am?
So you're curious about the layout of the house?
Oh yeah, just curious.
Well, you know what they say. Curiosity kills the cat.
Yes, if you'll excuse me, I've got to go run some errands.
Well, wouldn't it be ironic if someone did come in the middle of the night and...
Oh dear, me. I wonder if I have enough.
Mrs. Starkweather.
You scared me.
Oh my God. Might I ask what kind of pills you've just strewn about the room?
Did you tell us? I have a heart condition.
Did you tell us? Doesn't that speed up one's heart rate?
Oh yes, my little heart is just pumping away.
I can see. But doesn't that speed up the heart rate? Wouldn't a single dosage be sufficient?
Oh yes, it's very fatal.
Fatal, huh? Oh, well, that is unfortunate.
Very well, yes. Will you help me?
Sure.
Bensonhurst, may I ask you something?
Be my guest.
Why don't you carry your rent?
A wrench? Oh, well, you see. I remember Mrs. Withers telling me of a valve on Mr. Starkweather's heating system was loose. I thought I'd give it an extra turn or two.
I'm a candid with you. We're not in that gay state. What are we?
Naturally not. But first,
I
sister,
feel like a patient packing popcorn.
you missed one there.
Where?
Left kneecap. Left kneecap.
They just roll everywhere.
Round objects tend to do that, madam.
my dear? I suppose.
I assume Mr. Starkweather requires an injection. Is something wrong?
Nothing I can't handle. This one's... His lungs seem to be somewhat congested, so I gave him an injection of steroids to open up his bronchial passages.
Oh my, where would Uncle Simon be without you?
Dead. Without my help, his heart would have stopped beating long ago.
Speaking of which, wasn't there something you wanted to ask Mrs. Withers?
Was there?
Did you tell us?
Oh yes, I was wondering if you had any free samples with your medical connections, you know. Of digitalis? I have a heart condition, and I like to keep a supply handy.
I can see why you would. Yours tend to run around, don't they? I'm sorry, Miss Withers, but I'm fresh out of... I'm sorry, Miss Starkweather, but I'm fresh out of spare drugs. Your uncle requires every last pill he's got to keep him going.
Oh well, then I'd better be all cleared up then.
Let me give you these, Miss Starkweather. I really must return my hands.
Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
And here are mine.
If you'll excuse me.
Is this a private game, or can anyone play?
Mr. Davis, we're picking up spilled pills.
Is that it? I thought you were holding a tiny little marble tournament. I think I'll pass.
If you'll excuse me.
I too shall be going.
Miss Withers, how's the boss?
Bossy, he sent me in here for a pitcher of water. If I'm not back in a minute, he'll start bringing his hair in front of me.
I gather he drinks for you a lot?
Instantly. When you know he's stopped ringing the bell, you'll know he's kicked the bucket. Excuse me. I'm coming, Mr. Starkweather!
Spoken like a true member of the medical profession. What's with the wrench, Bensonhurst? Got some kind of mechanical problem I can help you with?
No, thank you, sir. But it will wait. I too shall excuse myself.
You're up kind of late, Mrs. Starkweather.
I'm going to sleep. What about you, Mr. Davis?
Oh, I'm a real night owl. Besides, I was hoping young Simon Starkweather would show up. I haven't gotten an opportunity to meet him yet.
Simon's a nice boy, but this storm and all.
I'm sure he pulled over to let it pass. It's starting to cloud up again. I think we might be in for another deluge.
Oh dear, I hope not. Good night.
Well, good night, Mrs. Starkweather.
I'm coming, Mr. Starkweather. Oh, you're still here.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on things.
I see. Well, my patient.
Good night again, Mrs. Withers. Yeah, and it seems I'm not the only one. There seems to be more traffic passing through the Starkweather mansion at midnight than what goes down the interstate at rush hour.
I know what you mean. I've been hearing footsteps go past my bedroom door all evening. I'm not surprised, though. Mr. Starkman's announcement would surely give us spares to sleep a night or two.
Between me and you, Miss Van Zandt, this cloning business, how do you feel about it?
I'm a lawyer, Mr. Davis. I'm paid to think, not feel. Can Mr. Stark would be cloned? Definitely. The technology exists. Should he be? Let's just say I wouldn't want to challenge the laws of nature by creating our own rules for it.
Me too. I'm a simple guy. I've got enough problems to deal with in one lifetime. The sooner we can get this signing over with and I can get back to the real world, the better.
Mr. Starkweather could sign the will first thing in the morning.
That old boy's still awake. I saw the nurse in here a couple moments ago. I heard him ringing his bell for her.
In that case, there's no reason he can't send it right now.
That's what I'm thinking. People in this house are as tense as a bunch of long-tailed cats in a room full of rocking chairs.
I'll go to my room and get the load. You let Mr. Starkweather know I'm on the way. What in the world?
The circuit breaker must have tripped.
But the storm passed hours ago.
I know. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I'll go find Benson first and have him show me where the main breaker is.
I'll let Mr. Starkweather know we're taking care of things.
Rules of the trade.
Hello? Is anybody in here? Mrs. Trent? Bensonhurst? Anybody?
Kathy, I think there's something wrong with Mr. Starkweather. I can't find that nurse.
Oh no, you haven't sent the bill yet, has he?
No, perhaps he just fainted. We need light. Mr. Davis is trying to... Mr. Starkweather!
What's going on?
It's Mr. Starkweather, help him!
What's happened?
I heard a scream.
He's dead. Someone put the blood pressure on his neck and pumped it up to a maximum 300 milliliters of mercury. Mr. Starkweather has been strangled to death.
What's the wrong? Is it blood?
I'm not sure.
What else could it be?
I'm the detective. I'll handle it, remember? Miss Withers, what can you tell me?
After I chose Mr. Starkweather the pitcher of water and made sure he was breathing all right, I went back to my room to lay down when all of a sudden the lights went out.
I noticed that too.
Hush. A few minutes later, I was struck with a heavy object. I must have blacked out when the lights came to and...
Yeah, we can take that.
Maybe
You seem to know what you're doing, Mr. Davis. What do we do now?
The way I see it, we keep trying the phones until we can get through to the police. If the lines aren't up by morning, we'll have somebody drive into town and report that there's been a murder at Starkweather Mansion.
Maybe the old man did himself in. Or maybe not. Young Mr. Simon, you made it. And boy, do we have a surprise for you.
Wasn't that just the most diabolical murder you ever saw? Don't you just love it? The way Mr. St. John's mind works, it's no wonder he went bonkers. Now, remember, first thing during intermission, you would use the QR code, the URL, or the voting station set in Storm Alley to vote for who you think murdered Simon Starkweather. Well, see you in 15 minutes. Wait, turn the lights back up. Sorry. I was making sure the cast knows what to do once they find out who'll be the killer, based on the count ballots. There are a couple of things Mr. St. John intended to put in the second act, once he made up his mind who the killer would be. Lines or actions that are clues to the murderer's identity. We'll work these into the show. I wanted to let you know so you can continue to play armchair detective and try to guess the culprit's identity. Well, I guess that's everything. For now. Relax and enjoy the conclusion of Murders in the AM. Can't believe grandfather was murdered.
It's so sad. He's desperate for so. Yeah. So difficult.
Murdered.
There's no doubt about it. You saw the body.
Told me I got this soon.
How do we know you didn't get here sooner?
What?
For all we know, you could have arrived here hours ago, parked off somewhere to the side, Snuck into Starkweather Mansion, cut the power, and killed Simon Starkweather.
That's ridiculous. Why would I kill him?
I'd say a third of a $50 billion fortune is a pretty good reason to knock somebody off.
I didn't know about that before you told me Steve told me.
You could have easily hid outside the French doors and eavesdropped on the conversation.
Why would I hide? I was expected here. I told you what happened.
Tell me again.
Okay, so I had to creep at a snail's pace along that long country road. Rain was lashing against the windshield and branches were being snapped off the trees. It was like driving through a hurricane. When I got up to the bridge, the river that flows around the estate had turned into a raging river and had covered the bridge. I had to head down to an old tree that had fallen a couple years ago. I used to play on it as a kid. I walked across the trunk as the water nearly covered it, and apparently I got here moments after grandfather was killed.
Good story, but it sounds rehearsed.
Not nearly enough. It's true, I swear.
That may be true, but I'm still not crossing you off my suspect list.
Who exactly is on the suspect list, Mr. Davis?
Everyone in this house except Miss Van Zandt and Kathy Collins. They had a heck of a lot to gain if your grandfather lived only a few more moments. As it turns out, they're left out in the cold.
Especially me. Who wants those other clients? Now I'm among the unemployed.
I'm sure once the estate is settled, we can work out a generous severance check for you.
Take it out of portion if you like. Mother and I will pass.
So loud. Personally, of course.
Of course.
Funny, Benson's first story was reminding me. We could play a game of bridge.
What do we do now, Mr. Davis?
The way I see it, we sit tight until day. Then I'll have you show me the way to your car and drive me into town. I'll report what I know to the police and we'll notify them when the bridge is out. My guess is that the cops will fly in by helicopter. They'll need to get the body to the coroner's office to examine the crime scene and take your statements. Once a homicide detective is assigned to the case, I'm out.
Why would you leave? You were here when he was murdered.
Sorry, but now that Mr. Starkweather's dead, I'm off the payroll. Once I give the big boys my statement, I'm finished.
If you stay, I'll pay you. I don't have the money right now, but once I get my part of the inheritance, I can pay you later if you don't mind waiting.
You're on it, kid. I figure you're good for the dough. Incidentally, that offer just dropped you down to the bottom of the suspect list. Well, I might as well start earning my salary.
How can we help, Mr. Davis?
First, I want to question everyone as to their whereabouts when Mr. Starkweather was murdered.
Establish everyone's alibis?
Yeah, also I need to know anything all of you and the staff might have seen or heard in the last few hours that might lead us to discover the killer's identity.
Clues.
You got it. The who, what, why, where, when. That's what a detective has to work with. The motives in this case are obvious. The other elements aren't yet. Hopefully they will be by the time I'm finished.
Sounds good to me.
Since you're called afraid, call me Mike. How about you, Miss Thompson? Do you mind being first?
I am just awfully tired. If I have to,
You don't have to, Paula. None of us do.
we don't?
No, Mother. Mr. Davis isn't a real police officer. Excuse me. Mr. Davis isn't a real police officer. We don't have to tell him the time of the day.
You're right, Jordan. But don't you think it's awfully suspicious that you don't want to cooperate unless you have something to hide?
Now look, Simon. Don't start accusing me of murder unless we can prove it.
Simon has a point. Do you want me to tell the cops everyone cooperated except you?
You can do
Not really, but if I have to, then I will. But first, I'm going to take Mother upstairs and have her lie down for a bit. She's getting up in the years and needs a rest.
Jordan, I'm no spring chicken, but I sure ain't a Mrs. Masloop either.
You need to just tell us, Mother.
Well, if I did, there's still a few under the couch.
You can call us when you're ready for us.
Also, do you want to question everyone in private? Cassie, you can come to me in my room. I want to read over the old will since we're in the official one.
Sure.
Jesus.
I'm sure Simon would like to stay since he's paying for it. Anyway, I'm particularly interested in what happened between the time Mr. Starkweather announced he was changing his will and the time the body was discovered. Several hours. Well, Miss Thompson, did you observe anything which occurred in that time frame that might help us?
Well, I was very disappointed by Fred Simon's announcement, as he quite the man. I mean, I can understand what not like those tall blues and well, but Simon? Look, Grandpa was a nice person, you know. I sit over here on the window and people really makes talking in the kitchen now.
What were they talking about?
What's the matter with you, girl? Did you leave your mind in the other room? You haven't heard a word I said.
I'm sorry, Minerva. I'm just so confused.
About what? Is that no good scamp Jordan been bothering you?
Jordan? I mean, Mr. Starkweather? What makes you think that?
When I walked in on the two of you in the living room, you two were standing mighty close together, real lovey-dovey like. What was he saying to you?
I think you wanted to...
To do something you didn't want to do?
Yes, but it's not what you're thinking, Minerva.
I'll bet. You better stay away from you, or I'll cut them down to size.
Minerva, no. He's not interested in me. I heard him in Miss Collins.
I get the picture. When you lost your millions, he lost interest in you, didn't he? He's following the money straight to the Collins girl, isn't he?
He proposed to her, but she laughed at him.
Good for her. Serve some rice, the lazy bum.
Don't call him that.
You're hung up on him, aren't you, Nancy? Don't be such a fool. Jordan would just toss you aside like he's done a dozen other girls I know of.
Well, maybe he's ready to settle down now. If Mr. Starkweather had changed his will, he would be free to...
Free to do what?
Nothing. We're done here. Let's go to my room now.
Go on. Nancy,
Yes, ma'am?
lock your door.
Excuse me. That little scene in the foyer was a flashback. It showed a conversation Paul overheard before the murder. Other character stories, well, portions of them, will be shown in flashback too. Isn't that clever? I just want to make sure you got that. That's all.
That man's really asking for it.
So, tell me, Miss Trent, did you happen to notice anything suspicious before the time Mr. Starkweather was murdered?
Suspicious? Well, I suppose you call potting a gun around the house suspicious, even though Mr. Starkweather was shot to death.
Who has the gun?
Besides me?
Paula Thompson, that's who. Claims she's a regular old Annie Oakley. But she mentioned how easy it would be for someone to come through those French doors and kill Mr. Starkweather.
Did she now?
Ask her yourself. Well, I did happen to overhear a rather odd conversation between Mrs. Starkweather and Rufus. I had gone upstairs to distribute candles in case of a power outage, which came to be very useful, as you know. I was about to turn the corridor onto the west wing when I saw Mrs. Starkweather at the far end near the stairs.
Do I have enough? Oh dear, Miss Starkweather. Rufus, you nearly scared young Peter's throat.
That's okay, ma'am. Sorry, we log from sideways, don't we?
I certainly hope not. What are you doing with that TV? It doesn't look like a portable.
It is now. I'm borrowing it from all the guest rooms that ain't.
Why?
Well, you see, I ain't stupid, so I thought I'd watch some TV. But everybody on their dead-zone channel screams. The Office screams, Mickey Mouse screams, even Annabelle screams. Looks like every station is starting to the frog.
How disconcerting.
Say that again, whatever. I've been recommend. I won't mind if you. I've stuck with Robinson for the staff supper.
Oh, Rufus, you mustn't take any of these. They're digital talents for my heart. They'd kill you.
They? That case, I'll pass. Better be careful not to leave any of them lying around in case somebody ate a bunch of them, taking me all over dead.
I certainly hope not.
What did you put on the death certificate? Cause of death and bad breath?
Oh, Rufus, this isn't a laughing matter.
So, Rufus was outside with an axe?
Yes, sir. I had ordered him to chop some firewood.
I'm surprised you trust him with an axe.
Personally, I wouldn't trust him with a butter knife. I was simply relaying Mr. Starkweather's instructions.
Which were?
They would chop firewood.
Sorry, slip of the tongue. Was there anything that you happened to notice that was of suspicion last night?
I was coming from the kitchen later that night when I saw Master Jordan standing outside Mr. Starkweather's room. The hall door. Not that one. It was apparent his behavior seemed a bit furtive. He was going to enter until Mrs. Withers came out. It was also apparent that her unexpected appearance startled Master Jordan.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Well, what do you want?
I was going to check on Great Uncle Simon.
No need. That's what I'm paid to do.
Is he okay?
Still breathing if that's what you're wondering about.
Why, you misjudged me, Missing Preserves.
Give it a rest, Gordon. You want to see him drop dead before daybreak, just like nearly everyone else in this house.
Including you, $1 million is a fortune. A lot of people kill for that much money.
If that's it, hey, forget it. If Mr. Starkweather's death became anything but natural causes, I could be a prime suspect.
Suspecting and proving are two different things.
I'm going to forget you said that. Good night, Mr. Jordan. It's true. Jordan did say that I would be the prime suspect. His death did become anything but natural causes. I propose Bensonhurst told you I refuse.
He did, but you could have changed your mind.
And kill him with a blood pressure kind, that would be anything but natural causes.
I agree. The manner by which he was murdered makes no sense at all. Whoever did it.
As if the killer was flaunting the deed in our faces.
Why would they do that?
That's a good question. Tell me, Miss Withers, if you had to pick a likely suspect to be our murderer, who would it be?
Off the record. That Thompson girl, his great niece, is too goody-goody for my taste. Although someone goes to horn all the charm when they want to. But Scarlett Heir was pretty worthless when she got down to it.
Well, what are we gonna do?
Do what can we do? It's out of our hands.
Don't be such a wimp, Mr. Jordan. That money rightfully belongs to us, and there's gonna be a way we're gonna get it. You understand?
I know. Maybe we can break the new will by having Great Uncle Simon declared mentally insane.
Well, we worked thought about that. Cole's just on wild theory, maybe. But it ain't been done. Grand Simon's theory, plan, whatever you want to call it. To be the first person to clone himself might be law. But it ain't insane that we lose that case.
Yeah, all of the business on our hands on those lawyers.
That's not necessarily insane.
What? What is it?
I'm thinking.
Can't beat him. Jordan.
What?
I found a way to get to
What is it?
And for yourself, Cousin Jordan. And if you'll excuse me, I got a lawyer to talk to.
Can't beat 'em. Oh! Now go to that head.
It's true. Jordan did suggest we get married. It wasn't what you call a romantic proposal, though. It was more like a business proposition.
You were going to have access to billions. What did Jordan have to offer?
Himself, I guess. In my opinion, that fortune hunter wouldn't be worth 2 cents.
Then you did turn him down?
Jordan is attractive in a smarmy sort of way, but any woman who married him would be a fool. Believe me, Mike, I'm no fool.
I knew that from the moment we started working together.
You were smart enough to pay your grandfather's loan.
Look, Simon, once Mr. Starkweather made up his mind to clone himself, nothing was going to change it. He would have found a surrogate mother somewhere, so it might as well have been.
I get it. I just find the whole idea pretty.
You're a lot nicer about it than the other heirs were.
For example,
Paula, for one. She hadn't given up hope of getting her hands on Mr. Starkweather's money.
how do you know?
I was in Lois's room with her when Paula knocked on the door. She asked Lois to step into the corridor where she could speak to her in private. Lois went out with her. She didn't close the door completely, but couldn't help but overhear their conversation.
And nothing will. Miss Van Zandt, you're a lawyer. Isn't this whole cloning business illegal? Couldn't you lose your license to practice?
Our classes were performed in Belgium, as we told you. Our laws don't apply there.
What about ethics? Have you always been disbarred for the behavior that was unethical, if not illegal?
What's your point?
Okay, listen. Sound crazy, but I want it on this. You can pay me in a trust fund, use your baby's name, or whatever. You name the position. But, this is the kicker. If you refuse, I shall be forced to report you to the Bar Association. Ain't that what you call it?
It is. Let me give you some free legal advice, Miss Thompson. In the first place, if you make any accusations against me before the cloning procedure is completed, I'll sue you for the $50,000 you're due to receive and everything else you own, and I'll get it. In the second place, after little Simon is born, I plan to close down my office and devote all my time to Kathy and little Simon's parent. I will care in the least if I should be disbarred. You don't have to be a lawyer to offer this date. Anyone can do it.
Oh?
So you see, young woman, your threats are meaningless. As an officer of the court, I should report your feeble attempt at extortion to the police.
Now, Miss, I was
Save it. Take your silly silly self out of my sight, and I might be willing to forgive you.
all right, I'll go. You lawyer?
Yes, Mrs. Trump?
My short word. I thought it would be a good idea to pass them out. I suggest you choose one as a match to your back.
That's very thoughtful. Thank you. Kathy's in my room. I'll take one to her also.
Miss Thompson?
Dang it. Fine. And if you'll excuse me, there's something I gotta go get in my room.
What's the matter with her?
Let's just say she's a poor loser. Miss Thompson played her ace and attractive. In a manner of speaking, I'll take this to Kathy.
If I remember correctly, when Kathy Collins saw Mr. Starkweather's body on the screen, you ran in the front door. What have you been doing outside, Rufus?
Was I outside? Yep, I guess I was. I brought a TV from one of the guest houses.
We heard why.
You did? News should travel faster, I mean.
All the actors on the screen were great.
There it was. Looked like the Martians were landing or something. Everybody on there was fuzzy as a woolly worm. I went outside to try and turn the antenna on.
On the roof?
Well, it wasn't too much good in the basement, now would it? I was about to get the tall letter out of the shed when I heard the gal holler bloody murder. Murder animation. What it was.
Did you see or hear anything outside?
Saw an owl and heard a bunch of bullfrogs.
I meant humans.
Saw Mr. Jordan.
Don't know what he was doing out there.
Earlier tonight, Rufus, did you hear anyone talking about the new will?
We didn't. That's the missing nervous that talked about myself. It was going on and on. Pictures was dark by the first.
What were they saying?
It went on and on about how it ain't fair. It was for all these years. They're business. Me, I didn't care for much. I figured $50,000 to buy a real big TV with a real big screen. Now, I might even buy the two.
Bensonhurst and Minerva?
Oh, yeah. The more Peter thought about it, the madder she got. That one's got a temper. It was going on and on, and his nerve was about storming the missing circle of the room to get him peace of her mind.
You mustn't go in there, Minerva.
Who's going to stop me?
I shall if necessary.
You and who's army?
I totally agree with you that we were wrong, but violence is not the answer.
Then what is?
He hasn't signed the will yet. Perhaps he changes my memory.
We should live so long.
No, Minerva, he should live so long.
So what were you doing outside about the time of the murder, Mr. Starkweather?
Just getting a breath of fresh air. Anything wrong with that?
Not if you remained outside.
What do you mean?
When I made a cursory examination of the crime scene, I noticed that Miss Withers had left the window raised a couple of inches to let in some fresh air. Anyone could have climbed in and...
Are you saying that I killed Great Uncle Simon?
Calm down, Mr. Starkweather. I'm not accusing anybody. Yet.
Besides, we heard you like getting other people into doing things they don't want to do.
What do you mean? I'll ask the questions if you don't mind. I repeat, what were you doing outside?
You must know, Kathy and I had a disagreement. I blew up, I went out to cool off. Or have you already told that?
I questioned, you answered, remember? Let me ask you this. If you didn't murder Mr. Starkweather, who do you think did?
I'm not trying to say anything, but how you talk about little big Nancy?
Why her, Jordan?
She has a crush on you. I flirt with the ladies a lot, but I did nothing to lead her on. I could tell that she was upset with the new will. Not just that, she would lose her money, but I would lose even more. I saw her outside the kitchen with Miss Withers.
Can I do something for you, Miss Withers?
I just need to get some water from Mr. Starkweather's bedside. I got it.
Oh, that poor man. When he had that attack and lost the broken liver, I knew what he meant to be slight shock to be fatal.
Exactly.
The slightest shock. It's bad. I messed up. Yes. We won't want anything bad to happen to him, would we? I was shocked to hear Mr. Starkweather include me in his will. I didn't think he even noticed me.
Then you must have received two surprises. To hear you inherited $1 million, and then immediately discover it was being taken away.
3 surprises, actually. And you're wealthy.
Oh, Mr. Starkweather, I was thrilled when I was getting even $50,000. With that, I could go to college, like you, and get a good education.
What were you going to do with that kind of money?
I don't know. I haven't been thinking myself much.
Who's been on your mind, Nancy? Jordan Starkweather, perhaps? You're very fond of him, aren't you?
Who told you that?
Jordan told us himself.
He implied you might even be willing to kill for him.
He what? How could he say such a thing?
I hate to break it to you, Nancy, but Jordan's out for himself. And he'll get rid of anybody that gets in his way.
I guess I knew that. Minerva tried to warn me. I even heard her propose to Miss Collins, and she was laughing about it was a man. I was taking fresh towels to the guest room when I heard them. If you think Mr. Jordan's bad, Miss Collins is just as worse. As bad.
Can you believe it? Those soul uses my work on some innocent young thing. Like that me, Nancy. I hate it quick enough. That ain't no pushover.
I wish I'd been there to see it, because time Jordan met this match. I should tell Nancy about the maids that worked here before her. Lawrence Playboy days will be over soon enough, though.
What do you mean?
Think about it. Mr. Starkweather has given Jordan, Paula, and Fiona, as well as the young Simon, a generous portion of his allowance. Once he passes on, the 50,000 big goods will be the last to get out of the Starkweather fortune. We'll have to learn what it's like to work for a living.
Mine is almost out of school. I mean, he'll do fine. But the others, they'll go through their money in no time. And then what kind of jobs can they get? Can you picture Paula behind the desk of a car installation?
Or Jordan driving cars on the lot for customers.
And what will Fiona do? Sell Eva?
Miss,
Can I get you anything, Fiona? A glass of water?
Mr. Davis, though I'm fine, thank you though. I want you to know that Jordan could have done what was done to here, Uncle Simon. He was with me all night.
You know that can't be true, Mrs. Stutler. Your son told us himself he went outside. And I saw you in here earlier with Bensonhurst and Miss Withers.
Oh yeah, maybe that was last night.
Maybe it was.
And now I understand why Jessica Fletcher never believed any of the suspects on Murder She Wrote. It is so confusing.
Concentrate on tonight, Mrs. Withers. Do you recall seeing anything suspicious?
Suspicious? I call that thing on Uncle Simon's neck suspicious.
He means before that, Cousin Fiona.
Oh, well, I don't know if this is what you were looking for, but
Yes.
I saw, after everyone went upstairs after hearing the new will, I was passing the secretary's door, and I heard Miss Trent and Kathy talking.
What were
I
they
was
saying?
it was quite loud, and I couldn't help but overhear.
What are you doing in my room, Mrs. Trent? I was making sure there's extra breakfast in each guest room. I suppose you're very pleased with yourself, Miss Collins.
Why do you say that?
It all worked out just as you planned.
I really don't know what you mean.
I think you do. Those magazines from town you left lying around? You've done it for months.
What magazine?
Oh, don't play dumb, Miss Collins. Those news magazines in scientific journals, they have one thing in common. Articles about cloning. I didn't realize it until tonight, but it's obvious what you've been doing. You planted the idea into Mr. Starkweather's head to clone himself.
So what if I did? There are no laws against sharing ideas, are there?
I bet your lawyer friend would say no, since you're in this together. That doesn't mean it's right. I think what you're planning to do is hideous.
To be perfectly frank, I couldn't care less about what you think. Get out!
Starting to give orders already, are you? Well, let me remind you of one thing, though. You aren't the queen bee. Yet. And you won't be. Until Mr. Starkweather's name is signed on that dotted line, assuming that ever happens.
I heard from Kathy that Mrs. Trent made some accusations against us, saying that she was the one that intended the idea of cloning to Mr. Starkweather's head with my help.
Is it true you and Kathy convinced grandfather to clone himself?
I don't think that's relevant to the case, Simon. Even if we did, we weren't breaking any laws. Right, Mr. Davis?
No laws that I can think of.
Then shouldn't we be looking at the law that was broken? Referring to the murder, of course.
You're right, as usual, Miss Van Zandt. Can you volunteer any information that might help us?
I will tell you this. Early this evening, I was walking down to the kitchen to ask Minerva for a pot of coffee. It was apparent that me and Catherine were going to end up having to stay up late, and it thought to caffeine might help. Minerva wasn't there, but Rufus was. He was talking to Seymour Starkweather. Our conversation was very peculiar.
Rufus, what are you doing with that axe?
I brought it in from the wood pile, dried it out. Darkened it up, it's good too. Want to see?
No, no thank you.
I better put it away before I hurt someone, or even kill them. It's okay, I was about to let you. I know. So you still got your poison pills.
You're not poison, Rufus. They're a stimulant. I need them. I need every last one of them.
You got a lot more in the bottle last time I saw you. I hope you haven't done gotten overdosed. I think I can do that now for myself.
There's some worse fates worse than death, Rufus.
Okay, ma'am, just trying to help. Is there anything you need in the kitchen?
I was going to see if Minerva had any of those delicious hors d'oeuvres left.
I can go look.
No, I've seemed to have lost my appetite.
What do you want to know about him?
Well, who did he dine with? Did he eat the same food as everyone else?
Mr. Stockman is on a very restricted diet. Low fat, low salt. So I have to prepare his meals separately. Why do you want to know about the food? You think there's something wrong with my cooking?
No, God, no, Minerva. The leg of lamb you served earlier tonight was wonderful.
Yes, well, I've often been told I have terrific legs. So what's the problem?
Forget it. You told me what I need to know. Changing the subject, do you remember who was in the kitchen when the circuit breaker tripped and the lights went out? Before I got there.
The blackout? I'm not sure, let me think. I was in the pantry checking the supplies for breakfast when it went dark. It took me a minute to get the candle Mrs. Trent gave me from my pocket and light it.
Oh. Minerva, Nancy, is everyone all right?
I'm here. I'm fine. I was out back when I saw the light show out.
I was in my room next to my door. What happened?
Sentinel got paid a light bill.
Keep that up and don't forget to pay your wages.
What in the blazes is going on?
It seems the storm knocked out the electricity. My cameras have come in handy, you see.
Remind me to give you a gold star later. Bensonhurst, can you get the electricity back on?
Sure. It's just up this way.
I hope they hurry. I don't like the dark.
That's good enough for you? I'll get back to my chore now.
Let them inside. You smacked your water over my clean floor.
When Mr. Starkweather doesn't fire him, I'll never know.
Any luck?
Yeah, it was there all right. It should have been enough to pinpoint our murderer, but I wish I hadn't. It could take weeks to get the results. If the will was probated and the killer gets his or her inheritance before then, they could disappear for good. You can buy a new identity easily enough for $1 million or more. There must be some way I can nab the guilty party tonight. They were so busy trying to make each other look guilty, they didn't reveal much about themselves. Sometimes the slightest... Simon, move your feet.
What?
Here, on the rock.
What is it?
What is it?
I don't know. I'll tell everyone as soon as I gather the evidence. Quickly, go tell Bensonhurst. I need to see everyone in here immediately.
I will.
The nurse sent me to see if you'd like a pot of coffee.
Never mind. Go upstairs and tell everyone to come down here on the double.
Okay.
I don't think the police will mind if I use the sandwich bags that gather evidence. I don't think they'll mind at all.
Let's try along.
It is very late, Mr. Davis. Or very early, depending on how you look at it. If no one else is going to ask, I will. Why did you summon us at this hour?
It has been a very long night, hasn't it? I'm sure you're all very tired. I know I am. But I felt you would rest easier knowing who murdered Simon Starkler.
I'm amazed, Mike. How did you figure it out?
First, I had to find the answer to a question that had bothered me from the beginning. It would have been so easy to make it appear that Mr. Starkweather had died of natural causes, a suggestion Jordan Starkweather had made to Miss Withers. For example, Mrs. Starkweather, her son, could have given her his digitalis to trigger a heart attack. So could have several others among them who had known that she had had them and she had spilled them upon the floor earlier tonight. Miss Withers could have achieved the same results by injecting an air bubble into him with a hypodermic needle. Again, any of you could have stolen the needle from her room and had done the same thing. Also, it's highly probable that some of you considered frightening the old man to death. Minerva with her knife, Thompson with her gun, Rufus with his axe, Bensonhurst with his wrench. The possibilities are endless. Why would the murderer choose to put a blood pressure cuff around the victim's neck and inflate it until he strangled to death? The answer is so obvious, I feel stupid for not realizing sooner what must have really happened.
Might want to ask what that is?
Obviously, when the cuff was put around Mr. Starkweather's neck, he was already dead.
What?
Am I right, Miss Van Zandt?
You're very clever, Mr. Davis.
It had to have been. We were in here together when the lights went out. Mr. Starkweather began to ring his bell. I went to find Bensonhurst, and you went to check on Mr. Starkweather. His killer must have murdered the man and slipped into Miss Withers' room, seconds before you found the body.
That's what I figured too. But why would you put the cuff around his neck? As variable detective bureau summarized, the murder had made it appear as though Mr. Starkweather had had a heart attack. That had indeed been due to natural causes. I had no doubt in my mind, however, that somebody in this house had murdered him. I knew that under the circumstances, the coroner would not conduct an autopsy and the police would not conduct an investigation. I wasn't about to let my employer's murderer get away scot-free. I saw the blood pressure cuff on the bed, put it around his neck, and inflated it before wheeling him into this room.
And your plan worked. No one would have guessed that he had been murdered.
The young Master Simon hired Mr. Davis.
Which I had. That was very disappointing of you, Miss Van Zandt. For a while, your little play distracted me from the main problem, instead of focusing on who did it. I kept wondering, why did they do it that way? Once I solved that piece of the puzzle, the rest came easier.
I'm sorry, Mr. Davis, but if you found the identity of the murderer, the ends seem to justify the means.
I imagine the police will agree, and might even overlook the fact that you're guilty of tampering with evidence.
If not, I'm on very good terms with the local judges.
Wait, how do we know that Mrs. Van Zandt didn't murder Graham son himself?
No motive.
Oh.
Well, keep us in suspense, Mike. Tell us who did kill Mr. Starkweather.
I'll do better than that. I'll show you. Bear with me.
What?
Stay seated.
What's going on?
We need our candles.
What?
I imagine all of you still have the candles Mrs. Trent distributed earlier tonight to keep with you in case of blackout. Take them out, please, and light them. When I examined Mr. Starkweather's body, I found what I first thought were a few drops of blood on his back. On closer inspection, they turned out to be another substance entirely. I forgot about them for the moment when I was interrogating you individually. I noticed one of you scraping your thumbnail against the other. At the time, I took it to be a nervous gesture. I guess you could say it was nerves triggered by guilt, as it turned out. I didn't realize the significance of the gesture until I recalled the nervous testimony, which reminded me of those of you who gathered in the kitchen with candles when the lights went out. A few moments ago, I noticed these on the floor by the sofa, and I had the link I needed to identify the murder. Thin scrapings of red tallow from the killer's thumbnail, tallow that matched the red drops on Mr. Starkweather's body, tallow from the red candle the murderer was holding when she killed Simon Starkweather, tallow from the one red candle among you which you are holding. Miss Paula Thompson.
Hold on. There might have been other red candles.
No, there aren't. I remember thinking that we would need to buy some more for Christmas next year.
So this is the only evidence you have to offer the police. Is your candle?
No, Paula. I have better proof than that. I just examined Mr. Starkweather's body. As I was moving about the room a few moments ago, I glanced at everyone's hands. I noticed that there were several very thin scratches on your wrist, made by Mr. Starkweather, no doubt, as he struggled for his life. I'll bet my reputation that these skin samples that I was able to scrape from under his fingernails came from you. It was easy enough to prove. I've met quite a few experts on DNA testing during the last 6 months.
I don't suppose you consider applying their scrapings and putting the new man in prison? I didn't think so. Ooh. I learned one thing, Miss Manson. Never cross a lawyer. I might have caused you to lose access to great Uncle Simon's buildings. You sure got your revenge, didn't you?
Why don't you tell us what happened?
Might as well. Figure out the main details anyway. I was furious with great Uncle Simon. Built up my hopes and dashed them into the ground. I thought a man back here didn't deserve to live. So, I waited outside in the hall and outside the door. I slipped right through and I was sure no one was in there. He was sitting in his wheelchair still awake. I gripped the handlebars of that wheelchair and I leaned right down into his face. I told him what he was planning to do was monstrous. I told him a man like him didn't deserve to live. And I told him I was going to kill him.
It's like 80.
He was terrified, of course. He reeled back, slammed into the bedside table. He sat in his reading lamp, crashed to the floor. A pitcher of water right on top of it. Must have short-circuited because it blew the breaker.
So you didn't cause the blackout deliberately?
No, it nearly ruined everything. But I remember I had the candles and matches in my pocket. So I took it out, and I lit it with one hand. So I clamped the oxygen mask down over his nose and mouth with the other. He couldn't breathe, of course. He made a feeble attempt to fight back, and with a few insignificant scratches on my wrist, as you noticed, Mr. Davis. Ooh. The old man couldn't do much, though. I don't know if he died of suffocation or heart attack. But it was all over in seconds. Apparently, it was enough to pin this murder on me. But, kept going. I slipped right through the connecting holes in the wizard's room. The back was to me. She lighted a candle. I looked over to the bureau, grabbed the brass candlestick, and I struck her with it. So she felt the floor and her candle went out. That's when, well, Kathy here screamed. And Miss Van Zandt was turned by apparent natural death and into an apparent murder. Ooh. You know, I would have loved to kill you too. give it a try, of course.
Until now. Get up.
Easy now. Don't do anything you might regret.
Too late for that advice now, Mr. Davis.
Marie, where the fish is washed out?
I know where the palm tree is the Simon mentioned. Simon, put your keys on the table.
You'll never get away.
I think I might. That bridge is washed out, boat's dead. And you're crossing on the other side of the stream. It would take hours for any of y'all to walk into town and notify the police. How long ago about that?
What about me?
I would have committed the perfect murder if it wasn't for you. What do you think I'm going to do with you?
Nothing if I can help it.
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
You hurt me.
Instead of a preview of the afterlife.
Now hold it right there. Now listen here. You just spent a very, very long time behind bars, okay? Come with me.
Don't suppose it's bringing up the shaft of the DAR.
I don't think so.
Grief, what's the matter?
This telegram just came into you. It said it's urgent.
I'm sorry about this, folks, but I better see what it's all about. It's from Mr. St. John. He says he just came to from a drug-induced coma, and when he awoke, a fantastic solution to the play was crystal clear. Oh yes, this is brilliant. Better than any of the possible conclusions he's thought of before. You simply have to see it. It'll take a few moments for me to go over the changes to the cast, but I'm sure they can handle it. Oh, I see some clues that need to go in the first act. So I guess we'll just have to do the whole play again. Uh-huh. I would have never thought of that. Uh-huh.